What's up, everyone? It's Billy Kayaks here with Strictly Kayak Fishing, and we're here with Brandon Riffle. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother?
What's up, man? Oh my gosh, it's been so long since we've done a Strictly Kayak Fishing podcast, but we have a lot to cover. We have the 2026 schedule that we're going to talk about. I would love to get your thoughts on it. We're not going to do a breakdown of all the lakes. We're just going to quickly go through all the lakes that we're going to be fishing. And then, really, what I want to get out of this podcast is talk about Salt Fork because it was really challenging. Spoiler alert, Brandon won. And then you moved on to the TOC and another spoiler alert or whatever. Congratulations, dude. You won. Great year. You had a great year, right?
Great year. No complaints here. Very, very blessed for sure.
Yeah, man. And then I guess we really should kick this off with a huge shout out and a thank you to Strictly Sail and Kayak. StrictlySailInc.com is the website. We're going to talk a little bit about some fun news. If you guys are on Facebook, you've already seen some of the things they have going on. They have a new lineup of kayaks down at Strictly Sail. You guys know about all the kayaks they've had before. If you bought a Hobie, if you bought some of the other brands that they carry, you know what they have, but they have some new stuff coming out. The Columbus Fishing Expo, the Cincinnati Expo, all those expos are coming up. That's a fun time of year. So we're not going to get into that, but we do want to kind of touch on what they have, their new lineups. So thank you to Strictly Sail. But what do you think, before we jump into Salt Fork and the TOC, what do you think about talking about the schedule?
I mean, everybody chomps at the bit, after the season's over. They're like, hey, when they release their schedule, when they release it, you got to put time in. And this series is top notch. I mean, just for being a local series, I mean, Brian, you, Hannigan, all you guys that help, I mean, a lot of thought is put into the schedule. Time of year, how's that lake supposed to be fishing that time of year? You guys really put a lot of thought into it. And when the schedule popped out, I mean, I was like, this is gonna be sick. Like, this is gonna be a great year. I mean, 2025 was a great schedule, but
Yeah.
I, I mean, I loved it. Obviously, I mean, I won Angler of the Year. I got, very lucky and very blessed to do that. But this schedule looks amazing as well. I mean, I'm super excited.
Yeah, it looks really good. Personally, like that Indian Lake. Look, I'm not mad that Indian Lake is not on the schedule, but it was it was windy. It
Yeah.
was rainy and windy and all that. You did mention Tacey and Hannigan. Also, Sean Skidmore does an amazing job. He orders the trophies and works with catch and does all that. And then Josh Nickel is helping out this year. So yeah, all of us combined, we kind of looked at the schedule. Are we heavy in the Northeast? Maybe, but you know what? That's where the fish are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you live in the Northwest, if you live in the Southeast, or if you live down the Cincinnati area, I'm sorry. Like the fish, we're gonna let's just jump into it. Let's look at this schedule. We're gonna do something a little bit different this year where I'm gonna try to screen share and we'll see if it works. May or may not work. And then we're just gonna jump in and talk about there you go, you can see it. So, oh my gosh. So crowd favorite. We're going to kick off the spring fling. That's what we called it in the past. We're going to call it Reel in the Spring. See what we did there?
Yep.
REL. And it's going to be March 1st through April 11th. And if you notice, April 11th is the same date as the Caesars Creek and the Cowan Lake. So two lakes, you get to choose which one you want to fish in. Caesars Creek, some people say they love it, some don't love it. Sometimes it fishes really well. We all know what Cowan Lake is, but the point here is that the reel in the spring is going to overlap with our first tournament of the season, so you can double dip. So does the reel in the spring count for AOI? No, it's just a fun way to kick off the season. A lot of people coming out of the expo, coming out of the ice melts, and everyone wants to get on the water. So we're going to allow that to happen. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, like I said, the April 11th tournament will kick off the season. Make sure you sign up. it's live right now on OKF. You can go there and buy your membership. Your membership helps with everything that we do with the trail. Like this is all volunteer stuff. So it helps with the trail and you get a t-shirt and then you are eligible to start earning points towards the AOI. What do you think about that? I'll just pause right there. Not we don't have to talk about the I don't want to know where you're fishing in the spring. Don't give me your waypoints. April 11th. How do you feel about that?
So for those two lakes, me personally, I've never been to either of them. I don't even know where they're at. I know nothing about them. I know being down south that time of year, it's probably going to be muddy, muddy cold water. That is just my assumption, just for my past of fishing, big boat tournaments and stuff like that. Um, but I love that you guys put the, you know, that, that cabin fever, everybody wants to get out and go, 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 go. And then reward those people that are fishing that tournament. You say, hey, come fish this one. And you can win them both, you know. So, and you start your AOI points with that first AOI event.
Right.
So
So
I like it.
yeah, you know what? I think you nailed it. There will be an angler that does well in the spring, does well at, Caesars or Cowan, and their season is like off to an amazing start. Or they
Yeah.
feel good anyway. So
Yeah.
and then we're headed to arguably one of the best like areas that we're going to go to May 16th. I think I don't know if it was OKF or it might have been BKFT. Fished one time there in the spring, but some of the other ones seem to be in the summer or late summer. So to go May 16th to Portage Lakes, one cool thing that we're going to do, we're going to make it very clear what we mean by Portage Lakes. So everyone knows that we've done Mogador, Wingfoot, Nimasilla, and then Portage Lakes. But the question has always been, what do you mean by Portage Lakes? And we're going to make it very clear this year what we mean by Portage Lakes. And that's a good thing because we're going to open it up to not just maybe like what the ODNR says. Like we're going to open, not the ODNR, the state park or whatever it is. We're going to make it very clear. So before you sign up or when you sign up, after you sign up, when you're doing your map study, we're going to make it very clear what Portage Lakes means. But May 16th, pretty exciting. Are you? Yeah, right, Brandon?
That's going to be a banger.
Yeah.
Um, that time of year, without getting into super depth, it's either going to be one or two things. It's going to be an incredible pre-spawn bite with big fat fish that really necessarily good for kayaks because they're super fat. I mean, Portage notoriously has mega giants. I mean, this past year, a 9 pounder was caught in the Portage Lakes chain. I mean, they got him. So this is going to be a slugfest. It's either going to be that great pre-spawn, or the fish are going to be actually spawning. And either way, it's going to be a slugfest for sure. I mean, that's going to be 100 inch. All that. I mean, that 95 to 100 inches is going to be. I wouldn't say easy to do, but it's going to be common for sure.
Yeah, you can't see it, but I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah.
Um, I was there was one year I was fishing Nimasilla and I had a I had a bite on a frog, and I was like, man, it broke off, and I was like, maybe it was a bad knot or something. And then that was on a Saturday, and then on Sunday, someone on the bank caught like a 7 pound bass in the pads where I was fishing, and I was like, I was like, that was my fish.
Yep.
So
They're in there. They're in there for sure.
yeah. And by the way, don't take that to mean go to Nimasilla because Mogador, Wingfoot, Portage Lakes, all the other lakes, there's giants up there.
Hmm.
So all right, let's see if we can share this again. Maybe. Because then after Portage Lakes, we're moving on to probably one of the favorites. How can we can't take this off the list. June 13th, we're going up to Lake Erie, East West Harbor. It says Lake Erie. Please don't go out on the lake um, in June or any time of year, unless you're after walleye. East West Harbor, it's amazing. I think I told you last time we talked, I think I got like 85 inches once and I got like 35th place. So we can agree there's a lot of big fish in East West Harbor.
Yes, absolute giants for sure.
Yeah.
Going to be a blast. I mean, again, that could be an amazing pre-spawn bite, and and time of Lake Erie, the Lake Erie's, I mean, deeper than normal inland lakes, they could be spawning. It just depends on what that weather pattern is, how hard of a winter we get. All those factors play in: moon phase, barometric pressure, all of that. But it's Lake Erie. I mean, you can't go wrong with Lake Erie. And the cool thing is, depending on which one you fish, east or west, and what part of it you fish, there is a potential for some big giant smallmouth too. So
Yeah,
that's always in the factor as well.
right. So, other than the smallmouth, I've only caught one smallmouth in the harbor. But other than that, do you guys hear what happened just now? The angler of the year just talked about the moon phase and the barometric pressure. I was going to talk about the campground. East Harbor campground is amazing. Like a lot of, but you're not wrong. And then we've fished there in the spring before, and the like the pads aren't up all the way. So the trick is if you fish in the mid to late summer, the pads are too thick unless you're in a real like a riverboat or a skiff and you push pole your way into the pads. So that can be difficult, and that has to be your jam, right? You're throwing a jig, you're fishing that style. And then if it's in the spring, you're fishing what will be pads, but they're like the old dead pads, and you're like, are the fish here? So hitting East Harbor that time of year, I just think that's a really good time of year.
It's perfect. I mean, you
Yeah.
could not pick a better time of year. May,
Yeah.
June is incredible on Lake Erie.
Yeah. And the camping is pretty good.
It's
So
phenomenal.
yeah, I think it's the best campground in the state.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there with Alum Creek, in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I live in Columbus, so I've never camped at Elm Creek. So maybe I should do that.
Alum Creek's phenomenal.
All right. I believe you. Um, I didn't sound very convincing. I was like, I believe you.
I believe you.
All right. So here we go. And then we're moving on to mosquito. And I know you guys, this sounds like so much hyperbole when I'm like, Portage Lakes is the greatest. East West Harbor is the greatest. Mosquito might be the best lake in the state. I mean, there's just every year, there's so many giant fish, and people do so well in mosquito. Now, you have to be at the right end of the lake. Like, are the pads up? Are they on the edge of the pads? Are they at one end or the other? But July 11th, mosquito. What's your experience? And how do you feel about mosquito?
There's no bad time there at Mosquito. You could go right now if there was an ice on it, and you can catch them on a bladed jig. I mean, those fish at Mosquito. Little tip for you guys: if you're at Mosquito, you've never fished it in your life, ever, never seen it. Number one, the lake is massive. It's the second biggest lake in the state of Ohio inland. Grand Lake St. Mary's is number one. Mosquito's number two. Um, that lake, if you think you're shallow enough, go shallower. I don't
Yeah,
care if the
right,
water's
right.
30 degrees. Go shallow. Go shallow as you can if you know nothing about that lake. Now, guys like myself and our top competitors in this series, they fished it a long time. I know every square inch of that lake, but that hurts me as well. You can catch them offshore. You can catch them up real shallow. You can catch them in dead pads, good pads, back in a creek where you think there's no water. It doesn't matter. I mean, that lake is the most consistent lake in the state of Ohio. Bar pools will go through swings. Lake Erie will go through swings. Mosquito is always consistent.
And
So that lake is phenomenal.
you might be fishing out of a bass boat when you're talking about that, right? So in a kayak, you really do need to do your map study. Like you need to pick, are you at the north end? By the way, don't go past there's a
The
what
ref.
there's an area where they grow the big fish.
Mhm.
And by the way, the big fish will come out of there and like snap your line. So, but do you want to go up to the north into those coves on the north end, the northwest, or
Mhm.
do you want to stay down at the south end, down by the dam? But it's interesting because you're not wrong. If you go out there in a bass boat, your milk run looks a little bit different than it does in a kayak.
Yeah.
Um, don't don't discount the idea of at Mosquito, if you need to load up your kayak and move, do it.
Yep. Done
Yeah.
it. Done it before.
Yeah. Or if to your point, shallow, shallow, shallow.
Very.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
you're a
the water.
mosquito, don't be afraid. If you're not catching them and you don't want to move your boat, just go shallow.
If you start deep, go shallow. If you start shallow, go deep.
Yep. Yep.
They're there. They're in there. There's a lot of fish in there.
Man, that's exciting. We could just stop there. But we won't.
It
We're
gets
gonna go. We're gonna go. Okay, August 15th. So late in the season, it gets kind of weird. The lakes start to fish really rough, especially in August, September, October. So we're going to Dayton Rivers. In Ohio, if you're going to fish the rivers, arguably like the GMR, anyone that knows some of and it doesn't have to be the GMR, but Dayton Rivers, there are giants in there. I think Reese Stoughton caught like 97 inches one time on a Dayton Rivers tournament. There's giants out in Dayton Rivers. So August 15th, that's where we're going. Yeah, what do you think about Dayton Rivers?
I So I've fished quite a few river systems in my time. I mean, in March we're going to Chattanooga for the Bassmaster, but that's probably the best river system in the country. But besides the Susquehanna River, if you haven't fished the Susky, please go do it. It is world renowned. Besides the
Please,
Susky,
please go do it.
please go do it. I don't care if you're fishing from the bank, a kayak, or you go take a guide with a jet boat. Go do it just to say you did because you're not going to regret it. It is I told my father, I said, when we got back from there, I said, that is an inland river version of Lake Erie. It is ridiculous. But for the Great Miami, I had zero expectations the first time I fished that. I did not have a good boat for it. It was just everything did not line up good for me, and I knew nothing. And I just went out and just junk fished what was in front of me, and there is huge, huge smallmouth in that river. I mean, you're talking 2021s, 19s, 18s.
Yeah.
Not, I wouldn't say consistent as the Susky, but they're in there. Like you can hit one hole and your tournament's done. You just go order pizza. You're done.
Yeah, over 90 inches. So, yeah, 18 inches outside of Lake Erie, the Fish Ohio smallmouth is 18 inches.
Mhm.
And to your point, 19, 20, 21, you can catch a 19 or 20 on the GMR.
Oh, all day.
Yeah. And
And
that's,
any cast.
yeah. And that's a bucket list fish. I
Mhm.
mean, if you catch a 20-inch river fish, inland 20-inch fish in Ohio, just, yeah, like
Yeah.
mic
Yourself a
drop.
pat on the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that's a mega giant. Even for Lake Erie, that's a big fish.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right. And then maybe and then no and then. Okay, there's and then. And then it gets weird because in Ohio, they say if the fishing is tough in August, just wait till September. So we're going up to Pymatuning. We fish Pymatuning. It does share a border with Pennsylvania. So I think don't listen to anything I say. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm pretty sure that you can, if you have an Ohio license, you can launch there and fish the whole lake. It's pretty cool. Depending on if you're way north or south, just pull it up and look at the lake. If you thought Mosquito was big, pull up Pymatuning. Pymatuning is just a giant lake. It's not considered one of the bigger lakes in Ohio because a lot of it is in Pennsylvania. But kind of what we talked about before, smallmouth. There's giant
Yeah.
smallmouth in Pymatuning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My personal opinion on Pymatuning, I don't have one because I've never fished it. So my entire life, I grew up fishing out of a big boat. And that lake for years, to my knowledge, was a 9-9 only lake. It had a horsepower restriction. Well, I was blessed enough to grow up with a father that fished Redman and fished BFLs and big events out of a boat. He always had a 200 or a 250, so we never fished up there. But for the things I have heard about Pymatuning, number one, it's massive and it runs north south just like mosquitoes. So a north or south wind is very dangerous. But the good thing is you hit it right on the head. I mean, you buy an Ohio license and it reciprocates over to Pennsylvania. So you don't have to buy multiple licenses to fish PA water because it's split right down the center. So I mean, I love events like that because I have no expectation. I go out, I do my due diligence, I do my map study, I do my practice, I do my graphing, everything that I'm going to do that time of year. And you just go fishing. It takes you back to the old school days of almost how not having a graph and just fishing what's in front of you, fish in the moment. So I
Yeah.
like those kind of events.
Yeah, and there's so much to fish. You can go up a creek arm, you can fish stumps, you can fish around islands, you can fish little like pads or like not pads, but like just junk, like matted up like garbage where you see a hole and you're like, okay,
There's
it's
puns. Okay.
yeah. But if you pieman tuning is pretty cool. So yeah, anyone that if you've ever looked at the shape of the state of Ohio and you look at like northeast and you notice Ohio, the shape of Ohio on the northeast is like a straight line. A lot of that is it's a straight line through the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not defined by like some of Ohio is defined by like the Ohio River and things like that. So that is just a straight line down through the river. So pieman tuning is pretty cool. And then we're gonna I won't pull it up, but and then we're gonna wrap it up at the end of the season with Columbus Rivers. I think this is pretty cool because if you fish all of these lakes and you put yourself in position, you're one of the top 20 anglers, you got the golden ticket or you had the points to make it in. Now we're going to settle it on the river. And can it be pretty tough? Yeah, but it's a smaller field. So you and I talked about it a little bit before we started recording. But it's a smaller field. So it would be different if we did a fall tournament at Columbus Rivers and it was like the entire field, but this is going to be a limited field. So it's to me, it's no different than going to like Kaiser because when you're at Kaiser with 20 people, everyone's bumping into each other. Indian was a little different because it was so big. But then again, at Indian, everyone's at Blackhawk or you're at the reserve. So you still kind of shrink the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. And there's such an interest in the moving water and there's such an interest in like just fishing different waters and then that time of year. So
Hmm.
lakes for the TOC can be pretty difficult. And if you know how to fish a river, if you put the work in, if you know what you're doing, if you are truly the angler of the year, you're going to know what the fish, what the probably smallmouth are doing in the fall in Columbus.
Yeah, it's that's another one of those river systems that you can pull up on the right spot at the right time, you know. And granted, this past year I only fished it. That was my first time ever being down there. It's a long drive for me. It's almost 3 hours. But going into it again, I didn't know where any ramps were. I didn't know anything about it. I knew that I was fishing a river system. Like next to me is the Tuscarawas River and the Mahoning. So I fish those all the time. So I know how to fish current, but unfortunately, that was my worst finish this year. But again, it was one of those, this water looks really good. And the whole river that I saw, I mean, I saw you at one point, it all looks good. I
Yeah.
mean, you can get well real quick in current because smallmouth will pull up, pull out, pull up, pull out, pull up, pull out. And just you just got to put your bait in the right spot. And like I told you after the tournament, I mean, I think I passed you and ended up dragging my kayak up, and it was that was horrible in a PA 14. But once I got up there, I didn't realize it was going to get deeper. I just, swung for the fence at that point. But, all it took was 10 casts and I had my limit, So that's the glories of current. It sets those fish up. So,
Where'd you fit? I mean, I know you got limit. Where'd you finish in that tournament?
oh, the 14th or 15th, I want to say. It was
Okay.
not good. I thought that was going to be my drop for sure.
Yeah. But you're not wrong. I went up this little creek arm and it got really shallow and I got sideways and it was really hard and I'm obviously like a really big guy, a lot of strength. True. And and then I turned around and went back and I was like, I can't pull my small creek boat up this crazy river. And then I saw you at the measure in and you were like, yeah, I went up that creek arm. I was like, what? And your PA 14? So you drug your PA 14
With
up
a
the
60
south.
pound battery and K300,
Yeah.
well, if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. I learned a lot that day.
Yeah.
So
Yes. I
Yeah.
want to say I did, but you know what? It that day I eliminated more water than I did anything. But I mean, I want to explore new stuff. I mean, I concentrated on the Scioto because that's where I could find accesses. So,
Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't a ton of people, but
no.
yeah, just like you said, everything looked fishable, but
Hmm.
yeah.
The fish were very, very specifically set up, at least from what I found. So,
Yeah. So that's the 2026 season. Again, everyone, like, please believe me, a lot of work went into it. Even if you look at like break this schedule down by a month, like if we're looking at the Bassmaster or Kayak Adventure Series, or you look like, oh, this is Memorial Day and this is Mother's Day, or this is Father's Day and this is whatever day. Like there's the days, it seems like a big summer, a big fishing tournament season, but there's Saturdays that start to eliminate themselves. So we really do have to be very selective, and a lot of work goes into that. I'm really proud of this season. Everyone that you mentioned before did an amazing job, really picking. I think what is a really good schedule. As much as I like 2025, I think I
yeah,
like this one better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your
So
points here.
yeah. So can't complain there. Um, And then let's because we did kick off a little bit talking about strictly sail and kayak, and we've talked about it before. We can't do this without our sponsors. So strictly sail has been amazing. Got the shirt on right there. I'm supposed to have the hat, but I went with the Bengals hat, even though we lost. We're recording this on December 8th. Bengals lost yesterday on the 7th. But not what I'm trying to say. Strictly Sail has acquired a new line of kayaks. So they already have some of them in, and some of them will be coming soon. Like I said, if you're going to go to the Columbus Expo, you're going to see a lot of the cool stuff there. But the Bonafide Native, Liquid Logic, Hurricane, there's the XTR 130 and the Hammer. So if you want to see some of these new kayaks, you guys already know what the Bonafide lineup. I feel like in Ohio, that lineup is already pretty much established. The 107, the 127, the Skiff, the 117, the PWR, like all those kayaks are like everyone knows that Bonafide lineup, but there's other ones as well. And like I said, that Hammer, pretty excited about that one. So check out Strictly Sound Kayak and go down there and check them out. And then if you're listening to this and you're not in that area, you can also have it delivered to you. So I just delivered a kayak today up in Cleveland. So we will bring the kayak to you if you want. So Strictly Sound Kayak, thank you so much to them. Brian Tacey, they do an amazing job. All the sponsors giving away kayaks at the end of the year, all those things. So yes.
Absolutely
Um,
amazing. Great crew there.
yeah. So let's jump in and talk about Salt Fork because although I had good intentions on talking to every winner of every event, I think the Salt Fork one is the one where we kind of dropped off. And again, into the season, I'm not going to call it burnout, but it gets busy as the season goes on. Life gets busy, things happen. But you won Salt Fork. It was
Yeah.
a really difficult tournament, but talk to me a little bit about like your thought going into it, your prep, your experience with Salt Fork, and then just walk me through kind of the day that you had, because it wasn't a great day for anyone.
No.
But that's the best thing about tournament fishing is that it's not, you don't have to have 80, 90, 100 inches. It's who can figure it out. Most importantly, when the fishing is tough. And that's what you did. So talk to me about Salt Fork.
Um, to recap, at least practice, I practiced a total of 4 days. I went down a week prior, and just looked around. I'd never seen the lake in my life, never been on it. Um, my brother had some experience down there, but I think he'd only fished 2 tournaments. He's like, hey, this is the water that I've fished before. Maybe look there. Well, nowhere he fished before I had any bites. So I literally had to scrap everything and do some map study. That lake is beautiful. Like for a fishery that did not fish that well, that lake is gorgeous. I mean, it reminded me of Cayuga in New York. Like big sheer cliff walls, giant boulders. I actually high-sided my kayak on a boulder that was the size of my house. Like that thing is huge. And I'm like, if a boat was coming down through here, you would be sunk because it would have ripped a hole in your boat for sure. So practice, I think I caught a total of four fish, four keepers, no short fish. My biggest one was, I believe, 17 inches on a frog randomly in some pads. Um, and weirdly, I decided during the tournament I wasn't going to those pads. So I saw a couple other competitors down there practicing. I think Melissa was down there during the tournament, as well as a couple other guys. I think even Skidmore went down in that area, but I, I just wung it. I had some really good offshore structure, which if you've never fished Salt Fork, it's full of offshore structure, which I like to fish. That's exactly what I did at Alum Creek as well. I fished offshore stuff, ditches and stuff like that. But tournament day comes around and I saw all the fog and I saw the moon phase, and then I looked at the barometric pressure and it was kind of like even. I think it was like 29 if I remember right, which on a barometric pressure scale is not very high. So I decided I'm going to run and gun in the morning, throw a buzz bait. I was actually throwing I should have grabbed one, but my company's buzz bait through a bait company in the perch color, the triple wing. It's a quarter-ounce buzz bait, and you can flat slow roll it or you can scream it, and it will not blow out. That's a huge killer for me. So in the morning, again, ton of fog. I mean, it was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I put in at my spot. I actually ran towards the Morning Glory area, and I knew there was a boat tournament going out. Um, Sat there. I was there very early. Got on the water as the first one at the ramp. Thought I, you know, like misinterpreted the time, but it was all good. So guys started showing up, kind of last minute, which is not really my style unless I oversleep, which is possible. But got out there, started burning that buzz bait around, ended up catching two fish. I have my thing pulled up here so I don't miss talk. So my first fish was a 13 incher.
Wait. I have the new fancy. Remember, we're practicing for next year.
Yeah.
All right. I'll just leave it up and you can talk about them.
So my smallest fish was my first fish. It was a 13 incher or the 13 and a half. I can't remember, but it was a 13. Just smoked it.
There it is. 13.
Um, Nothing crazy. I knew that every fish was going to count. I assumed that 70 inches was going to win the tournament going into it, just by the practice that I had and other people that I had talked to.
Are you saying that because I have the standings pulled up?
No, that was literally my guess was
Yeah.
70 inches.
Yeah. So you were pretty close. Like only three people got limit. All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it too. I just took a screenshot.
Yeah.
Only three people had a limit, which is mind-boggling. Not surprising, but mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So I kept going. I ended up catching, I want to say I caught another one on the buzz bait and I missed a couple more. So the 13 and the 13 and a half were both topwater fish. Past that, the fog started to lift a little bit. I had a pontoon boat full of Amish sitting on one of my offshore spots. So I decided to, run and some other stuff. I'll fish some offshore because I knew that my best, in my opinion, my best opportunity to get a more than like 13-inch fish. So I figured, if they were offshore, they'd be 15, 16s, and in a day that tough, you would need it for sure. But I knew that I couldn't lose any for sure. So fast forwarding, I ran all my offshore stuff. I even fished some new water that I found on the way to my offshore stuff. Threw the buzzbait some more, and oh gosh, it was. I don't know if I can see my times on this, but it was, I think, almost 1 o'clock, and I had not had another bite. Like it was bad. I'm like, I'm gonna end up with two little 13-inch fish and just make myself embarrassed. Um, but again, knew it was gonna be tough. When you get things like tournaments like that, you got to keep your head in the game. So what I did is pulled up my phone real quick and pulled up Google Earth, which is really dumb because I have all the graphs on the front of my kayak. But I pulled up Google Earth and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, that bay looks good. And I could see on Google Earth like little dark spots. So it looked like grass. And that bay I'd never touched in practice. I just idled past it, ran past it, whatever you want to call it. And I looked and I'm like, huh, I'll go over there. So I picked the buzz bait up and I said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. Swing for the fence. And I went over there and I stood up and I have foot steering from AK 300. So I'm steering with my legs and I can see all the grass, but it's just dead, nasty brown. Some of it was even black. Like it was just, it's nasty. And I had a couple fish follow my buzz bait all the way back to the kayak. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I fished the back corner of it and it got skinny. I mean, 8, 9 inches deep, I would guess. Um, and I decided at one point, I have a full YouTube video of it. I sat down and I don't know if I put it in the video or not. And I was like, what do I have to do? And then light bulb. I reached back, I grabbed my DC with 15-pound fluorocarbon on it, and I tied on a fluke. It was a Zoom Z2, and I think like a white glimmer color, just nothing fancy. I do some things to my baits that I'm not going to get into because that's my little secret.
What do you do to
Uh,
your baits, Brandon?
yeah, so it has to do with scent. I will tell you that.
Okay.
I don't believe in scent, but after these last couple tournaments this year, I absolutely do. So I tied that fluke on, and the first or second cast, I had just run that buzzbait through there, and it was shaded about that much off the bank. And I knew that because it was hot that day. It got warm for sure. For that time of year. So I threw that fluke on the shade line and I caught the 14 and a half. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was the 14 and a half that I caught. Um, and now, so in that bay where I was, there's a bunch of like big cabin cruiser boats with their wives sitting out, tanning, having a good time, listening to music. So I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but I'm like, yeah, that's a good fish. I'm not a yeller. I don't really get emotional. I keep myself pretty level. Um, but I made another cast after that, and I saw a fish come out and just miss it. So I reeled back up real quick and I threw back out there, and I wasn't just letting that fluke, nice and slow. Oh no, no. I mean, burning that thing. My DC's an eight something to 1. And I was screaming that fluke fast because I didn't want him to get a good look at it. And I threw right back to where that fish was and he smoked it. And that was the 15 and a half.
So you caught them in the order like smallest to largest. I can't wait to hear about the last one.
Yeah. Yeah. So got that 15 and a half in the boat. Now I'm like, oh my God. Like, so I didn't have good service right where I was at. So I couldn't, my 15 and a half didn't upload. And now I'm panicking because this is towards the end of the tournament. And like, I've never had this problem before with Tourney X. Dwayne Wally does a great job with Tourney X. Shout out to him. But I was panicking. Like I held my phone up in the air and I'm like praying, like, please, Jesus, just upload. Well, it didn't. And I'm like, well, screw it. I need to keep catching fish. If they're here, they're here. So I fixed my fluke. It was that Elastec material, so super stretchy. I used the same fluke for 2 tournaments. Like that thing was with a trocar hook in it too. So this is
Wow.
it's a testament to the Elastec material. Um, I don't think Strike King calls it Elastec, but the real stretchy stuff.
We know what it is. That's
Yeah,
what it
we
is.
know what it is.
It's Elastic.
So, yeah, so I had to move around a little bit and I went way, way back in the pocket and there was a lay down tree. I couldn't even get to it. Like it was so far back and I bombed that DC as far as I could with a weightless fluke. It hits the water. I twitch, 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 twitch. This fish just erupts on it, fully out of the water, comes down on it and eats it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a 20. It looks so big. And I hook it. I can't budge it because it's in the grass. I don't know that. I got my power pole down and I'm just chilling. So it's pulling me. I'm pulling it. And I'm like, please don't come off. Please don't come off. It comes up and jumps. I'm like, all right, it's not a 20, but it's my limit fish for sure. Um, get it in the boat and terrible net job. I left about that much line on the end of my rod and I'm like pulling it over my head like a rookie. I'm gonna start doing what Drew does and just not using that, to be quite honest with you. Like it's just a pain. But got that fish in the boat, and dude, I'll be honest with you, I lost it. I lost my mind. Like I don't get emotional. Like even Joe McCall's my camping partner, and he watched my YouTube video and he's like, dude, I've never seen you get that emotional. Because I was like, yeah, like let's go.
You want to Iconelli?
I didn't scream because I was trying to be respectful to the boaters, but I didn't care. Like even the one guy, so I ended up moving spots after that because I fished it another 30 minutes, no bites, whatever. Anyways, that fish was 15.75. My biggest fish of the tournament, my limit fish.
Yeah.
Um, and I start to leave out of there, right? And the one dude, his wife's up there suntanning. I think she might have been asleep. And I idle past him and he's jamming, I think he's listening to George Strait if I remember right. And he's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, brother, I'm good. I'm just in a tournament." And he's like, "I was rooting you on, brother." So yeah, it was cool. I mean, being around people and having not really a fan base, but people there to witness that moment. I've never had a moment in fishing, even the Lake Erie tournament. I was fortunate enough to win that one this past year or this year. And I never had that moment where I was emotional, whether you're, like you feel like you want to cry, or you want to scream. And I
Yeah.
had to stop in that Salt Fork tournament and take a minute and gather myself because I even say in my video, I don't know if I want to scream or cry right now. Like this is unbelievable. Then I look down, I have full service and both of my fish upload. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my God, like
then
this
72 and a quarter. Yeah.
72 and a quarter. And I believe you said earlier, uh, I did catch a couple short fish after that, but nothing to write home about. Only three people had a limit, and shout out to those guys that got a limit.
Yeah.
However they did it, I don't remember at the measure in, but it that was a really, really tough day. When you see that guy in the number 4 spot, we all know him, Sean Skidmore, and he doesn't have a limit, it's fishing tough. Like that
Oh, yeah.
guy is phenomenal. He's
Right.
arguably one of the best Ohio anglers that we have, if not the best.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
super tough tournament, but we got the bites that we needed when we needed them.
Yeah. So shout out to Doug Markham and Ed Shivany for second and third. Those were the other two guys with the limit. And I think you kind of hit on something that's kind of interesting. Like, why do we get emotional? Why do we do that? I think a lot of it really is, some of it is like the sacrifice away from our family, or we go to work all week and then we sacrifice, or we put in map study, we have all the prep time, and then we go to the turn, and there's this release of like, we want to do good.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the thing about competitive angling and kayak angling. You're in a bass boat or whatever, you just, as a competitor, the sacrifice, I think, is where the emotion comes from, because like, okay, it kind of justifies like all the work that went into it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
For
dude.
me, I mean, I grew up fishing around my dad. Again, my dad fished red bands. He fished the BFLs, the ABAs. He fished big tournaments. He had some success. He's not the best, but I mean, at one point he was a pro angler back in the day before I was even thought of. But when I get that text message on the water from him and saying one more, keep your head in it. And then I
Yeah,
get a text from my brother when I got back to the ramp that, a bunch of party emojis and congrats. And I'm like, I don't even know if I won. I don't look. I do not look.
really.
No, I won't look. So I looked at this tournament in the middle of the day to see if it was just me screwing up or if it was all around tough. And I knew immediately that I had to make a decision, something nobody else would do. So, I mean, unfortunately, it worked out for me. Even same thing as Lake Erie. I made sure I did something different than everybody else, and it worked out. So, yeah. Uh,
Yeah, man. Let's
very emotional.
I was just about to, I was like, wait, that's not what we're talking about. I was gonna flip over to Lake Erie. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about that one. Um, great
That
job
was a
though.
that was a fun one.
That was fun. It's always fun.
Super, super cold, but fun.
It was so windy. Like when we launched, if you cut, because I cut across the lake in the morning. it was to say it was chopped. I felt like I was on the main lake.
It was
So
bad. I
yeah.
turned around. I said, screw this. I'm done. Because
And
it's rocking me sideways in a PA 14. Like, that's arguably one of the most stable kayaks on the market.
yep.
Well, I went straight north and just hugged the bank.
And I had my son with me, and we actually around 11:30, we actually like took out and went back to the truck, turned the heat on. Like we were frozen. And we were ready. We were prepared for we were dressed for and it was still cold. It was so cold. It was the wind. The wind will get you. It'll get you every time.
Yeah, 2025 on Lake Erie out of the north. I hated that because I couldn't record. My camera kept turning off. I said, I'm not ruining this camera. So I pulled it down. And that was one of the most fun days I have ever had. But it
Yeah.
was just so nasty.
What
Like, it would have been a terrible video.
what'd you get? What was your limit? Do you remember?
Oh, 90, 92, 93.
So you did okay. All
Yeah,
right.
for Lake Erie. Yeah.
Let's all right. So you know what? It's funny because the next thing I want to talk about what is the AOI. So that's kind of where I wanted to kind of wrap this up. And that was like other than the Salt Fork, tough tournament, great job. And then talk about the 2026 schedule. But really what I want to talk about is the AOI and it's kind of weird that we kind of glossed over the other win that you had, but having two wins really set you up with the amount of points that you needed going into the AOI. So
Yeah.
going into it, you shared with me previously that you kind of had to mess it up pretty bad to not win. Like we're still trying to get your trophy to you. It's on its way, I promise. But we probably could have just had your trophy ready to go. Right. And then if you didn't get it, we could just figure it out. So
Anything can happen. It's fishing.
okay,
Anything can happen.
what had to happen?
Uh, now I do not math very well. But when I did the math, because I don't really look at stuff, but when I looked at the AOI, I said, and I even talked to Skidmore and I talked to McCall and I talked to Kevin Sams, and I said, you know, what making sure I'm right here. Do I have to completely lose and Connor has to win? Because Connor had a great season. That is, he had a great season, but I just wanted to make sure that I was okay. I mean, my mentality is I'm going for the throat every time. I don't go into a tournament saying, oh, I just got to get a limit or I just get, no, that's not my mentality. I go for the throat every single time. That can hurt me, but that's just my mentality. But after looking at that, it gave me that ease of pressure, So because I knew that I had to lose completely, get 20th, and he had to win, which I'm pretty sure Connor got third, and I got, I think, sixth, I want to say, fifth or sixth, but way closer than what it should have been.
Right, but you're saying maybe if you're doing the math that I would do, because I'm not great with the numbers either.
Yeah.
You're saying it's possible that if he got third and you got like, 19th
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
20th, maybe
he
even
had to
20th.
win.
He had to okay, so he had to
He
win.
had
Okay.
to win it. He
Okay.
had to
And
win, and I had to get last.
by the way, we had a tournament one year where the person in first place only had to catch one fish in the TOC and he did not.
Yeah.
And
It
and
happened.
he
It's fishing.
yeah, and he lost, so he skunked. So going into it, it was yeah, it
Yeah.
happens.
I knew
So
I could
yeah,
catch a fish.
yeah.
So,
So we're on Indian Lake. It's in October. I forget the date, but
11th.
October, yeah, October 11th on Indian Lake, and you got to catch one fish. Obviously, you want to catch limit, whatever, you're a competitor.
Yeah.
But Indian Lake. So what was your prep going into it? You kind of talked about where your mindset was, but
Mhm.
what was your prep? And then just talk to me about like what you did. What was your strategy for the day?
Um, Going into it again, 4 days of practice. Never seen that lake in my life besides those 4 days of practice. It's another one of those lakes that I just had never been to. Far drive for me again, about a 3 hour drive. But when I got there for practice, I was looking around and I'm like, God, this water looks low. It just looks low. But I knew the lake from map study was super shallow, like we're on an average of 4.5 to 6 feet. So I knew with the water being low, what is that going to do to these fish? I don't know. I've never even seen the lake. I mean, even in when I was camping, I put my drone up and I looked at it from an aerial view. I do that. I do it all the time. Because you can look at Google Earth, but it might be 5 years ago. So I'll put the drone up, I'll look around, see if there's grass patches, whatever. But it didn't really tell me anything. It just looked like water, you know? So in practice, I only caught uh, three, four, maybe five. Nothing to write home about.
In,
I
in
did
4 days.
in 4 days. Yep. I figured with the milk run that I had in the back of my head, I could catch a limit. But the problem is with Indian, it's a big circular round bowl with a bunch of fingers off of it,
Yeah.
and it's hard to navigate around as far as driving, loading up and driving somewhere else. There's no real easy routes. You got to go out, hit a main route, go back on the back roads, and it's just not easy. So I wanted to try to avoid moving if I could. But I kind of figured I was in trouble when I put in the morning and there was only one other competitor with me. Like I might have made a bad decision.
Yeah.
I knew where some other guys were going. I knew where Skidmore was going. I knew where Kevin Sims was going. I knew where oh, what's his name? Gosh darn it, he lives there. Oh, Utah Parker. I knew where he was going, but I'm not one of those guys that's going to go in and play bumper boats. I want to be different. In practice the day before, so tournament was on Saturday. I practiced on Friday. At the end of the day, I found a big frogfish. I mean, a big one. It came up and sharked it, blew over top of it like Shamu, and completely missed. But I saw the whole side of the fish. Um, and I was an idiot and left my hooks open. I normally bend them down, but I left it open because I didn't have many of those frog hooks left. Thank God he missed it. So I put a waypoint there and I beat feet out of there and went back to the campground. So fast forward to tournament day, got there, only one competitor there, is being Owen Klein, and I knew he had won there before. So I'm like, oh, maybe I can, I made a good decision. Maybe, I don't know. But my starting spot was in the same area as him. I think he only caught one fish there, and that was his only fish for the day. So I think both of us made a bad decision. But in practice, that's where I figured the bulk of the fish were going to be. It was in the Dunn's Pond area. So I left from there. I found some cranking fish in practice. One cranking fish, but cranking is easy to duplicate. So I went cranking for a little bit, ended up breaking my crankbait off, breaking my rod in half. And again, I try to stay level headed, but I had to edit that video out because Mama wouldn't have been very happy with what I had to say. And it came out. I was not happy. I mean, you're talking these are high end setups, and you just broke a rod in half.
Bleep, bleep.
Yeah, lot of bleeps, but that part didn't make the video. Anyways, so I ended up running back, heading towards that frogfish, and I would have my side scan on my Garmin, and I'm like, huh, there's a roof. It sounds stupid, but so a tornado went through Indian. If you guys listening aren't familiar, two of them, I believe, two F3s or F2s. They were big ones and did a lot of destruction, and it's
Oh yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
But it threw a bunch of debris into the middle of the lake. And I found a roof, literally a roof. I could see it. It was triangular. Um, and I threw a Texas rig out on it, and it didn't even get to the bottom. Took off sideways. It was a white bass or a striper hybrid, one of them. Something I'm not looking for. So I'm like, that's weird. It ate a Texas rig. That's not normal. Threw back out there again, hooked the catfish. Threw back out again. This is three casts in a row. Threw back out again, and it takes off sideways, and I hooked a largemouth, and that one was 13 and a half. I'm like, all right, threw back out. I got a couple more bites, but I just couldn't hook them. I don't know if it was, little rock bass or, perch or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know what species are in that lake. I do know one, and it's the giant flathead because I caught a bunch of those in practice. I mean, megalodon flatheads.
Wow.
Um, so I left that, ran to my frog spot, and I literally threw the same cast, and I was throwing a kicking frog. the Stanley, shoot, what the heck is that frog called? But anyways, it's a hollow bodied frog, but it's got little kicker legs on it and it floats. Um, white specifically. And that fish came up and just it was one of those like somebody dropped a center block in the water and you don't, because I don't look when I frog fish. I will it literally turn my head away from the cast. So that way I don't see it and jerk it out of its mouth.
Well, that's the best part.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, I knew I
Good
couldn't
tip,
afford
though.
to do that. But I always have done that. My dad even taught me that. He goes, when you're throwing a buzz bait, top water, look away, talk to somebody. Keep your focus off of that bait specifically. You know when a fish hits it.
Yeah.
If you feel it pulling, it's got it. But that fish, there was no, I could have looked at it and set the rod down and let him swim. He had it all the way down in his crushers. Got that fish to the boat and it ended up being 18 inches.
Yeah.
That was my biggest fish for the tournament. It actually was the big fish for the tournament. I submitted it and I'm like, well, at least I'll get a check for big bass, like cool, that's a good fish for this time of year. And I look and Kevin Sams had submitted his 18 that he caught, I think 20 minutes before that. We did the math on it. I think it was 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man. I mean, I camp with Kevin, so I'm happy it was him. But God, man, little shot at glory. But shout out to him. Good fish. So I kept working, nothing. And I'm fast forwarding through this quickly because it was not a very eventful day for me. So I loaded up, drove across the other side of the lake to, I believe it's called Atchison's Bar. Pretty cool because the Ohio State game was on. I'm an Ohio State fan. So I got to hear the reactions from the people at the bar when Ohio State scored or something happens. And I was in that general area. Ran up into the reserve and I had one of the keyholes up in there that was full of duckweed. I mean, full. It was nice, thick duckweed that when you throw a frog over top of it, it would separate and then it would just go right back shut. The weird thing is for me, if there was weeds up to the surface under the duckweed, the fish weren't there. Not for me. I'm sure people caught them like that, but it wasn't for me. I had a couple blowups there, um, but they weren't eating it. I threw a fluke back, the same fluke, literally the same bait as I threw at Salt Fork. Um, and I had one grab the tail of it and like swim off with it, and it just, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and that wasn't my time.
Yeah.
Um, ran back out of there. I ran into a little pocket next to Atchison's, and again, all new water. I had never practiced it, and it was full of duckweed. So I was skipping that frog up underneath the boat docks, up underneath the pontoons. Thankfully, I didn't hit any of them because there was people everywhere. And I had a fish come up and smoke it, missed it. So I immediately reeled up, threw back in there, and he actually got it. Doesn't happen that often, but in Ohio, sometimes they will come back if you can get back close. That fish was also 13 and a half. So now I have three fish and I'm feeling good. Like I believe it was like noon when I caught that fish, maybe somewhere around there. I knew I had a shot if I just would hook up with the bites I was getting because I knew it was going to be tough just from talking to everybody else. Um, I left out of there, had another fish come up and roll it before I left, missed it. I pitched back in with a Texas rig with the fluke through the frog back. It wouldn't touch it. That's more of your stereotypical Ohio bite. They won't come back. You get one shot and you got to make it count. So I mental note that one, left, went out in front of Atchison's, and I found a pocket in the pads that was full of duckweed. It was about that deep, and I could see them. I mean, V'ing in there. They were going everywhere. And I threw that frog over there, and they rolled it, missed it. One would miss it, another one would roll it. One would miss it, another one. I have never seen anything like it. At one point, I stopped and I watched because I thought they might have been carp. But I watched a mouth come up, a big mouth, that 17, 16, 18-inch class fish, that 2.5, 3 pounds, watched them come up their mouth and get it. And I just couldn't hook them. It got so bad that I had one come up and shark it, smoke it, take it down. I felt the fish pulling. I could see it in the water, and I set the hook and didn't hook it. God, my judge, I have no idea what I was doing wrong. Like it, that is frustrating when you can see them, literally see them with the frog in their mouth. I mean, it's bright white. You could see it. All I could see was the nose. Yeah,
Wow.
and you figured to be able to hook them. I even switched frogs and switch hooks. Figured it was something, terminal wise. I don't know. We're all fishermen. We think, it's us. Um, so I fished around the rest of the day throwing that. I knew that if I was going to win, it's going to be on that frog because I was
So,
getting quality bites.
right. But you knew, like, once you had three fish, you knew you had AOI wrapped up.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is you were still you
Oh,
still
I,
wanted to win the tournament.
I was mad. I was hot.
You were mad.
Yeah.
AOI, and you were mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fair.
That's not what I was going for. I wasn't going there. Obviously, I want to secure AOI. That is a big accomplishment. And that's my first AOI of my fishing career. So huge accomplishment. I'm super happy that I got it. But I think you even texted me after and, said, good job. You wrapped up AOI and everything. And I'm like, I'm not happy. I forget your response, but it was something around the lines of, that's why you're AOI.
Yeah.
You know? But no, I even at the measure in and the awards, I started talking to some guys and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be cocky or stupid, but I would have blown this tournament out because I think don't quote me on this. I believe 62 inches won it. I didn't screenshot far enough up. It was 60 something.
Yeah.
Um, which shout out to Brad for pulling that one out. But uh, I was so irritated that there's nothing I could do. When it's your time, it's your time. You know.
Yeah. 69 and a half. It was Bobby Young.
Yeah, Bobby.
Yeah.
Which no surprise there. I know he fishes that lake a lot.
Yeah.
And Bobby's a great angler anywhere you put him. So I
Yeah,
knew
but
he
I
was.
mean, he had 13, 13-inch fish, 13 and
Yeah,
a half, 13 a quarter, four of
yeah.
them.
That
So,
lake was.
yeah. And it was, again, only three anglers had limit.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah.
like you
Three.
said, Connor got third place. Alex Roberts second place. Um, so let's wrap this up. I want to say, because I told you I wouldn't keep you that long. Dude, congratulations again. I hate to keep saying how much I'm looking forward to 2026, but it's
Yeah,
December, so that's kind of where my mind is. But as we reflect back, amazing job. Two wins, and then the AOI. You had an amazing year. Um, I know you said you're I want to give you a chance to shout out someone, just whoever you want to thank. But before you do that, what's the name of your bait company again?
So my bait company is 330 Bait Company. If you guys are watching live, it's on my shirt here. These are a limited run shirt that we had, but 330 Bait Company, just like our area code here in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, whatever. 330, sure, whatever. I'm in a 614 and
Uh-huh.
a fan of the 513, but 330, that's Cleveland area for
Yeah.
anyone who doesn't know. Um, yeah. And then what's your because everyone probably should go watch that Salt Fork video. So
Yeah.
what's your YouTube channel?
So my YouTube channel is Blue Line Bass Fishing. I thought of that because I do work in law enforcement. I'm a deputy. So Blue Line Bass Fishing is my YouTube channel.
All right, so Blue Line Bass Fishing and 330 Bait. But thank you for your service. We really
Appreciate
appreciate it. I mean, we would appreciate if you would catch less fish, but we appreciate what you do when you're clocked in.
it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for that. Um, and then, like I said, I wanted to, who do you want to give a shout out to or thank you?
Um, the big ones are my wife for sure. I mean, she holds down the fort with my two young kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. So she's holding down the fort while I'm not there. She pretty much supports me in whatever I want to do. If I want to dive in headfirst in something stupid and she thinks that I have enough confidence to do it, she'll let me do it. You know. So big shout out to her. Huge shout out to my dad. My dad is the reason that, I mean, sounds kind of weird, but the reason I'm sitting where I'm at today. I'm sitting in his man room right now doing this podcast. Our shop is right there, right next door. So a lot of memories with him. He's the guy that taught me how to fish. Um, so a huge shout out to him, obviously my mom, but uh, yeah, besides that, I mean, I just picked up a new sponsor for this year. That's coming up, Bahio sunglasses. If you guys are interested in those, get a hold of me. I can get you good price on those. They're phenomenal. I've already tested them out. They are great. So shout out to them for supporting me. Fisherman Central always hooks me up with good deals on baits and stuff that I don't make. Um, so and they carry our products. So you
Oh,
can
there you
check
go.
us out at Fisherman Central, fishermancentral.com for 330 baits, or just give us a call. I mean, our phone number is right on the website. Custom make you whatever you want. So
All right, I love it. And we usually do Fisherman Central measure in for the East West Harbor. So see you guys out there. Thanks, man. It was great. Um, great hearing your stories. I think anyone that listened to this, if they were taking notes like I was, you gave up some juice. You gave up a few good tips when you were telling your stories. So
always transparent, man.
yeah, so I like that. And then anyone who didn't hear any good stories, I wasn't kidding about the camping. Like if you go camping, these guys sit around the campfire and they'll just talk about fishing because that's what we do.
Yep.
It's not the Bassmaster Elite Series or whatever. We
Mhm.
just like what we're doing, the camaraderie. We just love hanging out with other people. So a lot of good tips are around the campfire.
Yep.
And we'll wrap it up again. As we wrap it up, again, I want to say thank you, dude, for everything that you do when you're clocked in every day. We really appreciate that. And congratulations again. And last thing, shout out again to Strictly Sail and Kayak. You guys got to go check them out. Thank you to Strictly Sail. This has been the Strictly Kayak Fishing podcast, the last one of 2025. We'll see you guys next year. Thank you so much, Brandon.
See you later. Appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.